Guys, what's going on? Welcome to Serial at Midnight. My name is Heath, and in this episode, we're going to talk about The Mandalorian. This is like an unplanned, I guess it's an unplanned reaction video, kind of an opinion video. I have no notes for this. I'm just kind of going to go straight off the top of the dome, you guys. Every now and then things happen in fandom that I'm not planning on talking. You know, I plan videos out sometimes weeks ahead of time, but things happen and I'm like, I need to talk about this. And The Mandalorian is one of those things. So I'm going to try to present some opinions about The Mandalorian, Season 1 and Season 2. By the way, this is a spoiler-filled conversation. If you haven't seen The Mandalorian and you don't want to know anything about it or you want to remain unspoiled, don't watch this video. We're going to talk all about the plot points. Starting with, was that the season finale or was that the series finale? I know that Disney says that there's Season 3 coming December 2021. I have to imagine that's the Boba Fett story, right? Because every character plot point is closed for The Mandalorian. You could keep it going, but from a structural perspective, there's no reason to keep it going. This is where I don't think I watch things from like I don't watch things from a story perspective. My brain doesn't work that way. I watch things from a process perspective. So I'm thinking about like, okay, well, how has this character grown? Where does this character have to go? What are the acts, the beats, the script, the structure? How does this thread carry over into here? I'm looking at how things are created, and I'm always, at all points in The Mandalorian, I'm thinking about Jon Favreau, I'm thinking about Dave Filoni, I'm thinking about the directors behind the scenes as they're making this stuff, and I'm thinking about Disney in the back going like, it's probably Bob Iger on the phone. He's like, guys, this is great. We love what you're doing here. We want you to bring in Jedi. We want to bring in a Jedi. We want you to, you know what? Boba Fett, he's back. Boba Fett's back. It doesn't matter how you do it. It doesn't matter how he got out of the Sarlacc pit. Yeah, he died in Return of the Jedi. It doesn't matter. We want you to bring it back. Now the seeds for, I've been resistant. Oh, so many directions to go in. I've been resistant against this, like Boba Fett being back for years because Disney made such a huge point years ago. See, this is where I'm like, it's the process. It's not the story, it's the process. It's the creators. They made such a point to call out that Boba Fett's armor in a novel, they're like, this novel is canon. I think was it Aftermath? That the armor has been found. It's on Tatooine. It's got like acid pits and stain. Like, how did the armor get out of the Sarlacc pit? How did Boba Fett get out of the Sarlacc pit? These things matter. If you're gonna cut Darth Maul in half on screen in The Phantom Menace, you can't just bring Darth Maul back and assume that people saw the Clone Wars and they know everything that's going on with Darth Maul. You got, I mean, you can because they did, but there's so many things that I just, in The Mandalorian, I'm like, I thought this was the story of our character, of our man with no name, of our Clint Eastwood traveling cowboy. I thought this was the story of a man looking for redemption. He starts as a bounty hunter, but by the end of that first episode, he has a mission, and he has connected with that child, and we as an audience have connected with that child too. That was episode 1. Now here we are, the end of episode 16. It's done. His character arc, he started as the man with no name, with no country, with no mission, with no connections. That's where he started. At the end of episode 15, he says, that, in other words, like to paraphrase, that child means more to me than you could possibly imagine. That's the character arc, from nothing to relationships, to family, to having the Mandalorian knowledge, to having the relationships. He's found his people. He's found his connection with Grogu, as I like to call him. Like, crack open a Gogurt, man, when you're on the go. And he's found he's got like the Darksaber now, also from Clone Wars, and I feel like maybe that wasn't explained well enough. But that character, the Mandalorian's character arc for a narrative television show is over. So if we're going to keep it going, which I'm sure we will, everything we know is resolved. So where do we go from here? What new threads do we... Yeah, he can go to Mandalore. Yeah, he can challenge for leadership. Yeah, Bo-Katan can get involved in the mix as well. I think that's going to happen on other shows. I think The Mandalorian Season 3 is going to be the Book of Boba Fett. Someone in our Patreon Facebook group, we have a secret Facebook group just for Patreon top level, and that was suggested. Robert, it's a good call, man. I think that's probably the way to go. If they don't go that way, I'm going to be very disappointed. And here's the thing, like, I know there's so many people that have seen what happened. They saw Luke, didn't really like. Here's the thing, the term comes to mind. I'm like, well, this is all fan service, right? But does fan service exist? I'm not sure. What I think people mean by that term is that these are story developments that are meant to placate, to make happy an unhappy fan base, or trying to bring around people. So, all right. So everything in season 2 of The Mandalorian, to me, feels like a reaction to The Rise of Skywalker. And I think that I think The Mandalorian season 1 was in development as The Rise of Skywalker was being developed, and I think season 2 was being developed in the immediate aftermath of The Rise of Skywalker. And the dissatisfaction that some fans were having, the lack of box office returns, all the people that were like, what did you do to Luke? I know there's a lot of people that love what happened. Listen, before I go any further, it's not real. These characters don't exist. Like, we can love them, and we can care about them and want to see them shepherded? That's kind of where I'm coming from, is like, I want to see interesting growth with these characters like The Mandalorian. But they're not real, so let's not get super upset. None of this is real. This is just entertainment. And if we put entertainment above, like, people, that's we gotta be careful about that. And I'm gonna try to do that myself. I feel like the presence of Luke here is a direct response to The Rise of Skywalker and to The Last Jedi as well. I think that they needed redemption for Luke. Again, Bob Iger, we gotta have a redemption for Luke. Make him a cartoon character with a face that looks like he's out of a video game. It all feels very comic booky. It feels very... What's that fan service word again? It feels like it's not necessarily where Filoni and Favreau were going with the story, but where they might have been told to go with the story. Because at the end of the day, we just need to make Star Wars fans feel good about Star Wars. That's what I really think, and I don't know. Hey, we were having this conversation between Bree and I was like, Bree, you should be in a video about this. And she was like, I don't want to be in a video about this. And I was like, why? And she was like, you could be. It's like, because it's not a negative take. This is not a negative take. This is the analytical take, right? Like, I like a lot of The Mandalorian. I don't know that it all works for me, because it does feel very inconsistent, and it does feel, as a narrative through line, season 2 feels very different from season 1 in a way that I think hints at outside tinkering, at corporate tinkering, which is what Disney does. And it's not just Disney. Warner Brothers, AT&T, this is the era of the big budget mega corporations where movies and TV shows aren't made by one person or two people. They're made by committees that sit at a boardroom in their suits and ties, and they say, what about we put a Jedi? What about we bring Ahsoka Tano? Ahsoka Tano was probably planned from the beginning, because Dave Filoni created that character with George Lucas. And that was probably a part of the plan from the get-go. But there's so many things, it feels... I would have been very happy with The Mandalorian and the child, the little Grogu, wandering the galaxy for 5, 6, 7 seasons, having adventures, lone wolf and cub. Who's with me? Lone wolf and cub. You guys know the Japanese, manga series. It's a character. It's a Ronin samurai wandering with a child, and they have adventures, and they set right what once went wrong. They're like the Incredible Hulk, right? They're always on the move. And every time they'll come into a new town, and it's the Seven Samurai, it's the Magnificent Seven. It's these wandering characters that you know what I'm saying. Akira Kurosawa. That's really what all this goes back to, and I guarantee that Filoni, that's in his mix. That's part of his influence, but that's not what we got. And I was talking to Brie about it, and I was like, you can be like because she liked it more than I did. I liked season 1 quite a bit. I thought season 1 was compelling, and it was very character driven, and it was very kind of slow and thoughtful, and everything felt very methodical and not fantastical. And season 2 feels a lot like a fan film. Even the stuff with, I'm sorry, if you don't have to agree with me. Listen, you can like me and not agree with me. We don't have to agree on everything. It felt like fan film to me. It felt like cosplay. I don't know how you bring Ahsoka into a live action series and it not feel like cosplay, because she's literally a cartoon character that we've brought into reality. I don't know how you bring a CGI Mark Hamill face. It never works. It didn't work in Rogue One when they did Grand Moff Tarkin, and it didn't work when they did Leia. Like, it doesn't work. For me, it doesn't work for me. But, I'm an older generation than some of you guys. I'm not in my 20s. I'm not in my 30s. It doesn't seem to... Maybe for the video game the modern video game generation who consumes these stories, these digital stories, in a way that my formative years I didn't do. And maybe The Mandalorian is not for my generation. Maybe The Mandalorian is for the younger generation. Maybe it's for the kids. I don't know. But I just feel like where I was hoping the series would go is not where it would. It's not where this character started off. So small, so isolated, bounty hunter, sort of a guy. He's doing jobs, and we end with like the hero and the savior of the Star Wars universe in Luke Skywalker, and that just feels so broad across 16 episodes too. Even the stuff with Boba Fett where he sits down King Conan style in his chair and they're like, but that is a story for another time. I don't like... George Lucas said at one point, he's like, I keep killing these characters, you guys keep bringing them back. And that's, I don't know, I keep killing these characters, and you guys keep bringing them back. So Shatner, like George Lucas through Shatner, he would kill characters, but then he brought characters back himself too. So I don't know, the whole thing. I don't know how I feel about it. It's not where I wanted it to go. I can't imagine there's anything like. Where do you take this character of the Mandalorian without the child, without the by the way, the bad guy vanquished. Now, there's a hint of we've brought in Thrawn, right? We brought in Grand Admiral Thrawn. Shout out to the Heir to the Empire novels, Timothy Zahn, 90s, my generation of Star Wars. By the way, there's a Star Wars bookshelf about the Heir to the Empire books, the Thrawn trilogy. I'll link to that in the description of this video. But they've hinted at a larger threat, but so now the Mandalorian's going to take on Grand Admiral Thrawn? I don't think so. I'm not interested in that. I want to see character stories. I want to see a dude wandering the galaxy, going to planets that we've never seen, and some planets that we have seen, having experiences and adventures and setting right what once went wrong, all that sort of stuff. But without the child, what's the dynamic? I mean, that's everything we know. That was the dynamic, and now that's over. That's out the window. They're not going to start season 3 and be like, all right, it's been 10 years, and Grogu is now 60, and he looks like James Franco. I don't know. Green James Franco. I don't know, man. I just feel... How do I feel? I don't feel good. It's been a long time since a Disney... It's been never since a Disney Star Wars movie really made me feel what George Lucas's Star Wars made me feel. And that makes me sad. But that was another time. That was a different era. Star Wars, for my last really wonderful Star Wars feeling and experience was 2005. And living through that period, having lived through the classic trilogy and the prequel trilogy, it really felt special and it felt large and mythic. And George Lucas was punk rock, and he never did what people expected him to do, and that was both a good thing and a bad thing. But I can't imagine George Lucas taking this story in the direction that this all just feels so made for fans, and that doesn't have to be a bad thing. You want to make fans happy. The fans are who keeps this stuff alive. But I feel like you also have to be in service of the best storytelling that's possible. And at the end of the day, I do not feel like The Mandalorian Season 2 was the best storytelling possible. It was fun, and there was a lot of excitement and action scenes, but it was essentially a video game story. It was a lot of action scenes connected by a little bit of a plot. Mostly action scenes with with some character stuff. Look, I know there's character stuff in there, but there was a lot. It was really an action series. And it could have had more character stuff. We could have learned more about. There's a lot of stuff on the table. You know what, I could write a thesis of what I would have done with the series, but that's ultimately not rewarding. What do you guys think season 3? If I would have, Bree and I watched this. I said Bree didn't want to be in this video, right? Because I was like, you could be the positive, I could be the like, and she was like, but I'm not the positive. I was like, I thought you were. And she was like, no. She's like, I just wanted them to continue and just travel the galaxy. And I was like, I did too. I did too, Bree. I did too. But when we finished the season 2 finale, we were like, well, that's it. That was a good series. It was a good series. They had fun. I'm glad it's over. They went out on a high note. And then everybody's like, well, what's season 3? I was like, season 3? It's done. It's all done. They're like, but Disney says season 3. I'm like, with what? Everything's done. You've taken characters. It's all tied up in a boat. I mean, there's a couple of dangling threads, but I don't know where you go. I would like to see the Mandalorian. Let's switch focus to the Book of Boba Fett. If Boba Fett has to be back, I don't need him back. Boba Fett, it's a great costume. Do you like Boba Fett as a character? There's not a lot of character there. Or do you like Boba Fett because of the costume? Because it's a great costume. And in Empire Strikes Back, that costume serves a really great purpose. All right. Guys, we can agree to disagree on this. We can have a meaningful conversation here. If it made you happy, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. But I wanted to put an honest opinion out there for the purpose of showing that there's gray. I neither like it or dislike it, and that's the honest truth. I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. I think like it's okay, it's fine. Mandalorian season 1 was pretty good. Mandalorian season 2, it's okay. I was gonna give it a number, but I'm not going to. But if you like it and you feel differently about it, then I'm so happy for you. That's at the end of the day. Don't let anyone talk you out of your joy. Don't let anyone talk you out of how you feel about something. I know you can think about it. It's a good idea to analyze things and to try to figure out, internalize why you like something and what you're responding to. But don't let people talk you out of your joy. And Star Wars is like talking politics on the internet. It's become so divisive. So I wanted to put something out there that was like, not like, yeah, and not like, and that was kind of just like, oh, yeah, well, that's what I wanted to do. So, there we go. Mandalorian Season 2. Mandalorian series as a whole. It's the Serial at Midnight review. Guys, let's continue the conversation in the comments below, and let's do it respectfully. I have made this video with a smile. I've made this video with laughs. I have not gotten angry about anything. Please do the same. Be respectful of yourself. Be respectful of the people that are commenting in this video. And let's continue the conversation respectfully. That's what we do at Serial at Midnight. Guys, thank you so much. Take care. And until next time, I will catch you later.